Hello, hello, everybody. Hello, I can't see that I'm live yet, so I was giving it just a moment. Oh, there it is. I am live. Hello, everybody, and welcome to Transformation Talk with Teri. It's the middle of the week. How are you all doing? Hi, Christine Young. Hello, my darling Gerald Ann and Stacy Thomas. Oh, it's so good to see you on here, honey. Hi, Ray. And David Brett, my darling friend up in Georgia. How are you? Oh, hi, Johnny Hodgkins. Hello, everybody. It's so great to see you all. Hello, Susan. Thank you for jumping in here. And it's a great day. It's a great day. That's all I have to say. It's a great day. And, even it's Wednesday. We made it through more than half of the work week already. And it's time to just do some talking. So I'm hoping that you all are going to do some talking as well as me. So your talking will be with your fingers, though, into the comments, because we're talking about criticism today. And I know that's not something a lot of us like to look at, but you know what? If we're going to be doing this transformation process together, and we all are, we have to look at criticism, don't we? We have to look at it in ourselves. So if you will share this out and let other people see that I'm live, because I know a lot of people are saying they have a hard time finding me these days, but I'm always going live through my timeline. So that's where they can find me. And of course, my Gizmo has decided he wants to be talkative today. Gizmo, you're on the air, dude. Okay, so Gerald Ann, it's been a great day for you. Good. Hi, Linda Lemieux and Stacy. It can be constructive or destructive depending on the execution. Absolutely. We're going to look at what criticism is all about. So, where do you feel like you are criticizing others? Let's start with that. What do you see as one thing that you really take take ownership of, that you are critical of others in some manner? Let's look at that. And is it something that you're aware that you're doing, or something that just now maybe is popping into your head that says, yeah, I do that, don't I? So let me see who else coming on. Hello, David Jones. And my darling sister, Sheila, is here. And John Fiore. Hello, my darling friend, John. Constructive criticism is what you hope for, Christine. Yes, that would be the best thing. Hello, Wendy Lucas and Eunice and Jennifer Robin Russell. Oh, it's so great to see all of you on here. All right, so we're talking about criticism today. That's the topic. Every day there's going to be a topic that we talk about as we go through this transformation and looking at ourselves. We have to look at the inside of ourselves to get to that whole transformation process, inside and outside. So the question right now, and if you all would type in your answers into the comments, is where do you feel like you are criticizing others? And Astrid, thank you for that comment. I criticize when either afraid of their gift or it's something I have done and no longer enjoy. Thank you for being open with that, Astrid. Yes, I get that. I really do. So anybody else that wants to share, let me see, I'm just flipping back through the comments here. And Astrid is clarifying, meaning that they have something I don't have, but I would like to be like them or have what they have. So yeah, we can be very critical of others, can't we? And when we don't just think, like yesterday we talked about pausing, breathing and pausing and listening. When we don't do that before we speak or criticize or let others know that what we think of them, then that can come out in a very destructive manner instead of instead of constructive. Get my words straight here. And Geraldine says, if I'm criticizing others, it's usually because I have the same issue or pattern. Yeah. Yep. That's what goes on, doesn't it? Because when we're seeing something in other people that's pushing a button, causing us to react in some manner, then the best thing for us to do is to stop and say, what is it that's really going on? What is it about that I need to look inside of me about? So, some criticism is good because it's going to create that self-reflecting so that we can stop and we can examine what we're doing. What am I doing? Why am I being so harsh on this person? Why am I not able to just accept them as they are? What is it inside of me that's being triggered? And how can I let go of that? Maria, I saw your comment come through. Let me go there. Maria says sometimes it's a defense mechanism. Yeah, because sometimes it hurts to look at that stuff inside, doesn't it? Some of that icky stuff that we know is buried down in there. And, maybe it was an incident that happened that created something that wasn't very pleasant. So when somebody brings that up and pushes that button, it's like, oh no, I'm just going to blast you because I don't want to look at that. I don't want to experience that over again inside of me. So yeah, you're right. We do use criticism as a defense mechanism. Sabrina, been told I'm hard on people. I think people should feel or think like me. There you go. That's when the criticism starts to happen, is when we see something in others, kind of like what Astrid was saying, when we see something in somebody else and it's like, oh, wow, that's different. That's not the way I think. That's not the way I do things. Okay. We do it in relationships, don't we? We criticize the partner because maybe they didn't do something the way you thought they should do it. Or maybe they don't know that that's how you think they should do it. So we criticize them and they're like, what? So really looking at things that push our buttons and looking at how we react. Because if you're reacting with an immediate reaction, not stopping and saying, oh, what am I really feeling about that? This is what we talked about yesterday, is how when you take that deep breath in and you listen to your inside voice, you listen to what you're feeling, to what your emotions are about something, you're more likely to see it in a different way. When I love quoting Dr. Wayne Dyer because he just really inspired me in my whole progress and my transformation. And Dr. Dyer says, when you change the way you look at things, the things you look at change. So when we take that time for self-reflection and we're saying, how do I really feel about this? What are my emotions in this instance? And why is it such a trigger to me? When we take that moment before we respond verbally, before we vomit out there what it is that's going to come out of us, then we're taking the time and honoring ourselves to really look at what is it about that I'm being so critical of. So I hope that makes sense. And if you missed yesterday's show, please go back and watch that. It's called Silence. And it's talking about taking the time you need to really go inside, to really reflect before you just say things that you want to say. All right, so Stacy says, I've criticized people if they're being foolish towards myself, and it can be the only defense, but then I've only done that a few times, learning from it and learning that it's not the thing to do at those times, and it's better to ignore the criticism. Yeah. So, if you're confident in yourself and you know that what you're doing is right, it's right to you. It may not be right to somebody else, but it's the way you are, the way you feel, it's your emotions, and you're being true and authentic. Then when you do get criticism for that, and you have the confidence to be okay. It's like, yeah, okay, that's your opinion. That's what I always tell people. That's your opinion, you know, and I don't change to mold into somebody else's opinion of what I should be. None of us should. None of us should be that person, that people pleaser that's always going to be the yes person. We need to have our own ideas, our own thoughts, and know what it is inside of us that we need to be speaking. If we don't, if we're holding that inside, we're doing harm to ourselves. We're not harming anybody else but ourselves when we're not being authentic, when we're not saying the things we want to say in the way we want to say them. But first, do the reflection, do the inner work, and say, what is it that I really feel? Because that will help you to, yes, John Fiore, stand in your authentic self. Absolutely. So we had a question from Linda. And Linda, I'm so glad you're on here with us today. Been thinking about you a lot, my dear friend. And Linda says, what if you're dealing with a narcissist? I think it's a lesson in stopping the negativity in yourself. Really great insight there, Linda. So if we're seeing things in another person and it's pushing our buttons, there may be lessons that that person is dealing with, things that they're going through, that they're having to work on, and maybe they're not. And that's why we are constantly, it's in our face. It's in our face to deal with because we're in that situation with them. So the best thing to do is what I just went through. Take the moment to breathe. Breathe in and listen, and breathe out and listen. And then see, what is it about that really triggers me? What is it about how they're treating me that I'm just like over the top about? So this will help you to be more compassionate. It'll help you to look at things from where they're coming from. And yeah, a lot of it is insecurities. A lot of it is, with the narcissism, we don't know what what was going through their mind as they were developing in their younger years, and how they came to be the way they were with having to have control, because that's what narcissism is all about. It's control. And sometimes we don't see it that way. We see that it's all about them. It's all about me, right? It's all about me. So taking the time to really step into their shoes and show some compassion. I'm not saying to, be that yes person. Don't say yes if you don't mean yes, but always coming from your authentic self, but at the same time, feeling into the compassion of love for everybody. Because what have we been talking about this whole time? That connection. We are all connected as one. So what I'm seeing in you, there's something in me that's being mirrored back, and we're going to talk about mirrors tomorrow. So the other type of criticism, and some of you have already touched on it, is constructive criticism. So if that other person that you're dealing with is open to hearing some constructive criticism, will listen to you and say, where you can say, this is how I feel, this is my opinion, and really hear what you're saying, then you're going to see a shift. And I love that comment from Maria, that narcissists are good at playing victims. And yes, Stacy, I don't like labels either, but when we see a pattern and that we know that's what we're dealing with, it's like, how do I deal with this? How do I handle this? John Fiore, are you like creating havoc here? And Gizmo is yelling at you, John. He's telling you to behave. That's what he's saying to you right now is to behave, John. So we're talking about constructive criticism because one part of criticism is looking at something and saying, I really don't like that. I don't like the way that person looks. I don't like the way they talk. I don't like the way they dress. I don't like their actions. So we're tearing apart things that may be pushing buttons inside of us. The other part of criticism is if we can say to somebody, I noticed that, and then whatever it is that you want to say to them in a loving way and let them know that we care about them as a person, as a spiritual being. We care about them, but there may be some things that we have an issue with, and we all need and deserve to be heard. So I'm not sure what's going on with John, but I'm hoping that you all are hearing these two different types of criticism. And what do you see? Do you see yourself using constructive criticism in your relationships? Because that is the best way to get closer to that person that you're in a relationship with, whether it's a romantic relationship, a friend, a family member, whatever it may be. The best way is to be that open person that you can say what it is you want to say, and you know that you're going to be heard by them. And a lot of times we step out of our comfort zone when we do that, don't we? When we tell somebody, this is what I'm seeing and this is how I'm feeling about it, and I need to express myself so that you understand. So you can ask the other person politely to listen to you, to give you that respect, to honor that you have things you want to say and you have feelings. A lot of times when we're criticizing, we come across as not having feelings, as being cold. Has anybody ever told you, oh, that's so cold? And sometimes it's the delivery when we say something, when we say, I really, I don't like this, what I'm hearing from you right now. That's not setting well with me. That's you expressing how you're feeling in a really clear, concise manner instead of attacking. We've talked about using defense mechanisms, and one thing that happens is when you're feeling something that this person has pushed a button, and all of a sudden, what do? We go on the attack. So we turn it around and attack something about them. So then it becomes this vicious cycle of, I don't like this. Well, I don't like this. And nothing gets accomplished with that. But if you're able to talk openly and say, this is what I feel. Okay, I understand you've expressed the way you feel. Now I'd like to say what I want to say. And I think we're still having a discussion about narcissists and dealing with them. And thank you all for putting your input in there. And I do empathize because I have been in those situations where it was all about that other person. And that's, in my mind, that's what that narcissism is all about. It's not a give and take. It's all one-sided. And I do understand that, and I understand how hard that is to deal with. But what we're talking about today is staying true to you, staying true to the fact that, I have feelings, I have things that I want you to hear. And when we can empathize with somebody, it doesn't mean that we agree with them. We can look at somebody that we're criticizing, like let's say somebody that has done a horrible crime against somebody else. We don't have to agree and be okay and accept that person is okay in doing that. But what our job is to go into that empathy in any situation, whatever the situation is, whether it's a narcissist situation or it's a situation just with a friend who you have a disagreement with, when you put yourself in their shoes, when you go inside and say, okay, how would I feel if that was me in that situation? And come from an inside place of just pure love, unconditional love. When we can get to that place where we're showing others that unconditional love without expecting anything in return, without wanting something, without having an agenda, then we've really stepped up in our spiritual progress, haven't we? We've really gone into a transformation of such with our spirituality when we can do that. And it doesn't mean that somebody's going to run all over top of us. There's nobody that's going to just do whatever they want and have their way. But it's a matter of, how do I feel about me? Not how do I feel about that person that I'm seeing in such a critical manner. How do I feel about me? Okay, does that make sense? It's taking the focus off of, oh, that person did something so horrible, or that person is always doing things that push my button, or that person. We're looking out there when we do that, when we're using our criticism in that way. We're always looking at what's outside of us. And no, it's not easy, Maria. It's not easy to do this. But no transformation is easy. I've said this so many times. It's not an easy path to change the way we are. Just think of that butterfly that was a caterpillar. That caterpillar did not have a great time, did it? The caterpillar went through some really horrible stuff to become that beautiful butterfly. So it's the same thing with us. Sometimes we have to go through some really horrible stuff in our transformation progress. We have to sometimes give up things that, things that we like ice cream in my case. I love ice cream. Have I had ice cream in the last 5 months? No, not one bite, because I made a commitment. There were things I knew that I just had to put out of my life. And it's not just food. There are people that I've had to remove myself from in this transformation progress. So whenever something is not for your best and highest good, look at that. Really look at that. That's what the self-examination is all about. Sometimes you have to say, is this leading me toward my higher path and a closer relationship with really who I am and with source energy? Or is this taking me away from it? And if it's taking you away from it, if it's turning into something that's more destructive in your life than it is enjoyable, then look at that. Yes, Nikki Cameron, thank you for being so real and raw about that, having to remove nearly all of your family members. There's people that are toxic to us. We have that relationship where it's just pushing buttons, and we're in a constant state of chaos and turmoil. And, it's like, why would I want to constantly be in that environment? Why would I constantly be beating myself up to be around that person anymore, or those people? And yeah, we're not going to be abused. We shouldn't be abused. Life should be enjoyed. It should be fun. And if it's not fun and you're not enjoying the people that are in your circle, we all have circles. We all have people that we're in contact with every day, or every other day, or every week. We have those people that we go to and that we communicate with. And if it's not an enjoyable relationship, why are you doing it? Ask yourself that question. Why am I still doing this? Maybe banging my head, thinking it's going to get better. This is going to change. This is going to shift. Maybe it will, but what are you going through in the meantime? What are you feeling? What is that person making you feel? And are you willing to be treated that way? Exactly, Margaret Ellen. We don't deserve to be treated badly. We don't deserve to be bullied. We don't deserve to hear constant negativity being thrown at us. So look at yourself and it's like, okay, am I allowing myself to be a doormat? Am I allowing myself to be that person that's the punching bag for somebody else? I've been there. I have been there. You know, it's usually when somebody is angry or has issues, it's the closest person that's the recipient of all of that emotion, all of that anger, and, you know, being pushed down and shoved and tried to be controlled. So look at the people in your life, look at the things in your life, the food, the things that you have, the, you know, what you're surrounded by. If it's not working for you, then maybe it's time to transform you. And sometimes it means stepping away from people, stepping away from things that maybe you did enjoy for a while, like ice cream. I enjoyed ice cream my whole life. And I know eventually I will be okay in moderation to have ice cream again, just not right now. Not while I'm still learning to really respect my body and respect what's going in and making it that which is nourishing and helping my body instead of destroying it, because that's where I was. That's where I was. When you sit and you eat a whole bowl of ice cream every night, that is destroying. It's not helping you at all. It's not helping your body. And, you know, all that sugar and everything in it is not good for you. So when you look at the things that's helping you and the things that's not, then you can start to see, okay, what do I need to weed through here? What do I need to turn away from? And maybe it's people, you know, just saying, maybe it is. And if there's someone in your life, like, you know, the big discussion has been about narcissism, maybe it's somebody that the focus is all on them and you're feeling left out, you're feeling hurt, you're feeling like, you know, you're invisible in that relationship. Then maybe it's time to make a change. Maybe it's time to say, you know, am I willing to put up with this, or am I willing to step away from this and step out of my comfort zone? So I appreciate all of you being here today. This is only a half-hour show. For those of you who are new, I thank you for jumping on and finding me here. And every day I leave you all with a gizmo. A gizmo is another word for a tool that you can use. On this show, we are collecting gizmos to put in our basket, and tapping is definitely a gizmo, and we're going to be talking more about that, about how some of these spiritual practices can help us in working on the criticism, working on patience, working on anger, all those things that we talk about every day. So I have a gizmo for you today. And this gizmo, I've already touched on it, how you can put yourself in that other person's place and see where they're at. See where they're at and feel compassion for them. You're not feeling sympathy or even empathy. You're feeling compassion and wanting the very best outcome for them. So your gizmo is an affirmation. And that affirmation is, I maintain a spiritual presence in neutral observations. So neutral observations means that we're not invested in the outcome of that person's path. Whatever it is we're being critical of, what we're criticizing, you look at it with compassion, which means you remove yourself from the outcome. You're totally focused on, I want the very best outcome for that person. So I maintain a spiritual presence in neutral observations. I remain compassionate to others and all things in spite of their seeming effects on my human emotions. So it's giving respect to that person in a very compassionate way, but it's also saying, I will maintain my spiritual presence. I will maintain and be authentic and be true to how I feel. Yes, what they did or whatever happened, that situation, it had an effect on my emotions, but I'm going to maintain my integrity as a spiritual being by showing compassion to that other person and wanting the best for them. And sometimes that best is not being together. Sometimes that best is saying, okay, it's time to step away. It's time for me to be who I truly am and honor me and be with me instead of being not seen, not heard, and always being put down. So think about that. And yes, John, you can absolutely kiss Gizmo. He's a little hairy, so you might come away with a little fuzz there in your mouth. But but thank you. Thank you all for your love. Thank you for being here with me today. I love you so very much. And tomorrow we're going to talk about some mirrors, and we're going to do some mirror work. So please come back 5 o'clock Eastern time. It's only a half-hour show, so it's a half hour out of your day to really come together and support each other. And I love the support you all were giving today here in the group. And thank you for that. Thank you for really being a true soul family. That's what I desire, is to surround myself by people that really are invested in the very best for everyone, not just for one, but for everyone. The show isn't about me, it's about you. Take what resonates with you. If there's something that helped you, wonderful. If there's not, then just leave it, because probably somebody else was touched by it. So thank you again. I will see you all tomorrow, 5 o'clock Eastern time. Have a beautiful rest of your day or night, wherever you may be. I love you so very much, and that comes from deep in my heart. Bye, everybody.